What's up, guys? In today's SEO video, I'm going to teach you how you can quickly and efficiently steal your competitors' traffic. So let's jump in. I'm going to be using my affiliate marketing travel website for today's example. And the first thing you want to do in order to steal your competitors' traffic is, well, find out who your competitors are. You can use a third-party SEO tool like an SEMrush or an Ahrefs. But the easiest way, and it's a free way, is to just simply look on the SERP. I want to expand my topical authority for Florence, Italy, so I'm going to be writing about the Uffizi gallery. The keyword that I'm taking a look at here is must-see Uffizi, and it's going to provide me with a complete list of who's ranking on the SERP and what Google is prioritizing. Once you have that information, we can start working on the prompt. Well, I'm only going to be showing you one example today. What I would do is use this prompt for all of the competitors that are on the SERP, or at least the top 3. So you're going to take your URL and enter it into the brackets, and then you're going to tell ChatGPT what type of industry this is in. So in my case, it's tourism and travel, and then you're going to provide your initial keyword. So again, in this case, I'm going to be looking at must-see Uffizi. This prompt in particular needs GPT-4 and the web reader or web pilot plugins in order to access the URL. And once it's accessing it, we're asking ChatGPT to analyze the entire content of that page and then provide us with a list of keywords. So that's exactly what I did. And on the left side of your screen is ChatGPT's response. Our chatbot used the web reader plugin in order to analyze the page and extract any keywords that are relevant to this blog post. And we're specifically asking for the main content of the article because I'm not really interested in any of the keywords that may appear in the heading navigation or within the site footer. Once we're here, we have a couple of different options we could choose. We could ask ChatGPT to expand on these keywords and we can build out our list that way. We can take a look at all of our competitors and then compile each list into a master list and ask ChatGPT to remove any kind of duplicates. Or the option that I'm going to be showing, and it's also a free one, is using Ahrefs' free keyword tool. I'll include a link in the description below. You just access it, you type in your target keyword, and you click Find Keywords. And what this is going to do is show you a list of all of the keywords and search volume. Now, it's not going to be as complete as if you were paying for the tool, but it gives you a great idea as to what to target and what you could potentially rank for. Once you're happy with your selection, head back over to ChatGPT and provide it with the list of keywords that you've selected. We're also asking ChatGPT to add those to its already compiled list. So again, we'll have a master list to work with. For this next prompt, we're going to be analyzing our competitors' content, and we're essentially going to be refining it. We're going to figure out all of the ways that they can improve their content, and we're going to use that information in our own processes. So I'm providing ChatGPT with the following tasks. Provide me with a list of ways this blog content can be improved for readability. So we're going to be looking for ordered lists and unordered lists. Make a list of changes you'd make to make the content better for SEO. Make a list of suggestions on the content and how we can entice the reader. And this last one is probably the most important because we have to add value. We're not going to beat our competitors if we're just providing the exact same thing that they're providing. We don't want to spin their content. We want to create a more robust content that adds value for the reader. And then lastly, provide me with a comprehensive outline for my article based on your suggestions. So once it's extracted all of that information, analyzed it, and provided us with its feedback, we're asking ChatGPT to build a content outline that's thorough and specifically for those suggestions. If everything went according to plan, you should get a response similar to the one that you're seeing on your screen. So ChatGPT provided us with 5 bullet points on how to improve for readability, including shorter paragraphs, subheadings, bullet points, image captions, and font consistency. The last one I really wouldn't worry about, but the first 4 are really relevant and it's going to provide a user with a better experience. The second one is our actual SEO enhancement. enhancements. So integrating the keywords that we just found, providing alt text for the images that we include, also creating a deep internal linking structure, because again, I don't want to just write a one-off blog post. I want to create an internal linking structure that's going to allow me to become a topical authority on this subject matter. It's reminding us to use an SEO-friendly URL structure. It's reminding us that we need to really be engaging during our introduction, because that's what's going to catch people's attention. We want to include high-quality images, videos, and any other multimedia assets that we have at our disposal. It's also telling us that we should use clear call to actions. So don't just use hyperlinks throughout your article. Use an actual CTA button that's going to capture the user's attention, and they're going to want to click on it. And we also have our comprehensive outline. But what I like to do is just ask ChatGPT, is there any other information that's relevant to the user for this article that we can kind of flesh out upon? ChatGPT finished, and when we compare our new content outline to the one that it previously created, we'll be able to see if it actually did expand on anything or if it didn't. In most cases, it's going to, and is going to provide you with a little more contextual information on what each section would include. Now, I think that ChatGPT did a really great job, but reflecting on its previous content outline, there was one area in particular where I believe that it did a better job earlier. So I'm just asking ChatGPT to combine both of the content outlines, its original version, and then its enhanced version. So up to this point, you should now have your competitors' top keywords. You should have a brief idea of what your competitors are targeting as far as content goes, and also how to improve on that content. Now that we have our complete selection of keywords and we have a complete and comprehensive content outline, we're going to move on to providing ChatGPT with a little more information about our business. Now, if you don't know how to do it, I actually gave a breakdown, and I'll include a link, should be here or maybe here, so that you can watch it. But basically, you want to provide ChatGPT with enough information about your business to make this content unique to you, because you don't want it to just be very generic and antiseptic, which is typically what you get from ChatGPT. So I'm going to provide ChatGPT with my audience, my brand voice, my unique selling proposition, my engagement objectives, and my tone and style. And this is going to make the content reflective of our brand. We're also providing ChatGPT with all of the keywords that we just did research on, just kind of as a reminder of what we're looking for. And if you have them available, we're providing it with internal links. Now, I'll include this prompt in the description or in the comments section, so you can just copy and paste it. But you will need your own values for the audience, the brand voice, and so on and so forth. So what am I looking for when I'm going section by section? Well, one, again, I'm looking for, is it written in my brand voice, using my tone and style, and also my perspective. So on this website, I have a very historical slant, and I like to provide context for whatever I happen to be writing about. And I wanted to give a little history about the gallery itself, as well as the Renaissance and the artists that are going to appear. So looking this over, I think ChatGPT did a great job given the context. And it's also included an internal link to one of my other articles about the Italian Renaissance. So if you're happy with your output, you can continue working section by section. Now, if there's something about your output that you don't like, annotate that and provide it to ChatGPT so that going forward, it takes that information and provides you with what you're looking for. Just to show you another example, I had ChatGPT write the next section, or at least start it. It gave us the heading of this section, as well as details about the painting that we're going to be going over, and it pulled out a royalty-free image for us to include. Now, the really cool part is it actually gave us the alt text that we can use for this image, and it's very descriptive, albeit a little long. I don't want to bore you and go through this section by section, so what we're actually going to do now is find some FAQs. And we're not asking ChatGPT to provide us with those FAQs because it can hallucinate the questions and they're not always indicative of what's actually appearing on the SERP. So the tool that I'm using in order to find the People Also Asked section of Google is called Also Asked, and it's a freemium tool. You get 3 free searches per day, or you have to pay for it. Now, I pay for it, but I'm just going to show you the free version so you don't have to. And the really cool thing about this is you type in your keyword here, you click search, and it's going to generate this web. And each one of these webs is essentially you clicking on the people also ask question, and then it breaks down into even more questions. So it saves you a lot of time and effort, but it's showing you exactly what appears on the SERP. Whereas if you're using ChatGPT to do this, it's going to generate questions that look like they're FAQs, but they're not really frequently asked questions. Now you can export this in a couple of ways: Google Sheets, CSV, or PNG, or you just go through and retype them. We're going to be using it today to find a couple of different FAQs, and then we're going to re-provide that to ChatGPT and ask it to write the answers for us in a way that'll help us get into the people also ask section of the SERP. Once you've identified what FAQs you want to incorporate on your page, we're going to drop them into ChatGPT and use the following prompt. I will provide you with a list of FAQs. Your goal is to write for clarity and conciseness. Now, this is key because if you've ever looked in the people also ask section, they're very digestible. They're written in a bite-sized way so that they can give you a better understanding of what the answer is very quickly and efficiently. Lastly, we're asking ChatGPT to create the structured data for the FAQ page, and then we can incorporate that within the header of our page. Once yours is done, and again, I'll provide a prompt for this in the description or in the comment section. Just copy your code, click validate schema here, and then we're going to actually use the schema markup validator to ensure that ChatGPT created it correctly and we don't run into any issues when we copy and paste it onto our site. Now, if you don't know about schema markup, I'll include a link to a video that I created on how to audit schema markup, what it is, and also how to create it specifically for Squarespace or WordPress websites. But the gist of it is that schema markup tells Google exactly what this page is about in a very easy to understand way, which in turn is going to help you appear on the search engine result page. Once you've gone through your entire article with ChatGPT, we're going to ask it to create our metadata. So the only thing that we're really specifying here is that we want our meta title to not exceed 60 characters to avoid any kind of truncation on the SERP. And we also want it to use a specific keyword that is reflective of the article. The meta description, meanwhile, we don't want it to exceed 160 characters. We want it to include a keyword, but also a call to action. If you did it correctly, you should see a response similar to the one that's appearing on your screen now. Just two more tips before we head out. If you're going to be working on this site repeatedly, you kind of want it to be efficient as possible. So instead of copying and pasting a lot of information, what you can do is actually build a brand persona to use with ChatGPT. I've created a video on how to do that, and I've also written an article. Now, the benefit of this is you just copy one prompt one time and paste it into ChatGPT. Whereas before we had to create it, then we had to copy those sections and add it to ChatGPT. This brand persona is going to have all of your information readily available at just one click. So your brand voice, your audience, your USP, engagement objectives, and tone and style are going to be built into this brand persona. And it's a very powerful way to use ChatGPT because, again, it's not enough to just simply spin someone else's content. You have to make it your own. You have to provide value that your competitors aren't. And the second tip is to use royalty-free images. Now, you can have ChatGPT generate the images for you, or you can use a website like Unsplash to find them. We've been writing an article about the Uffizi Gallery. I went to Unsplash, I typed it in, and now I have all of these images at our disposal. And I would just copy them, add them into the correct section, give them alt text, and provide a description of what those images are to really bolster our page and to give the user some imagery to go along with our written content. I know that this is a little in depth, and it's not one of those YouTube videos that you see where you write 623 articles in 2 minutes. It's not that. Regardless of what people say, you're not going to rank if you're just putting out a bunch of content that isn't really adding value to the user. Whereas with this way, it's methodical. We're making sure that it reaches our audience in the exact voice that they're going to be searching for, and we're adding value. If you do all of these things, with time, you're going to steal your competitors' traffic and you're going to start working your way up the SERP. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs up anyway. Don't be a hater. And until next time, this is Todd.